Hello YouTube, welcome to the next episode of the ultimate review around the world in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, where we are taking a look at roughly about 2600 airports around the globe. These are airports that are larger than that have a runway that is larger than 7,500 feet and therefore capable of accepting an Airbus 320, Boeing 737 type aircraft. Today's episode, we're taking a look at Echo Foxtrot Romeo Oscar Rovaniemi Airport in Finland. This is one of Finland's important airports. This one is the second busiest airport in Finland, behind Helsinki. And we will take a look at the default airport. This airport, Rovaniemi, is fairly important. Couple of exciting factoids about this airport. First off, the Arctic Circle actually crosses the northern end of the runway. And the second interesting factoid about this airport is the Santa Claus village is about 2 to 3 kilometers away from the airport. So this is why, one of the reasons why this airport sees a lot of traffic, particularly seasonal traffic during the winter time. And it is served by a lot of airlines. We will get into that a bit later. Looking at the default airport, nothing to write home about. Very, very typical for Microsoft Flight Simulator default airports. It's very disappointing. I think, as a developer myself, I think the AI generated airports could actually be made a lot better. I'm not talking about the buildings. I am definitely not talking about the buildings, but I think that the data exists to build the airport, the runways, the taxiways, the signs, the markings. All of that can really be generated by the AI or by programming, actually. The buildings, okay, I understand that is largely dependent on how good or bad the satellite imagery is. And most of the buildings, because they're probably looking top down at the images, the buildings aren't all that great, but the markings are really a disaster. But all said and done, this one is okay. It is usable during the day. I'm pretty certain, as you've heard me say this before, and I will say this again till I'm blue in the face, the nighttime usage is probably going to be rather poor. But let's go take a look before we pass any judgment. And let's see. Go to night. We go backwards in time. Okay, so let's see, how usable is it? First of all, I can approach this at night and I can land. No problems there. Secondly, I can taxi back and forth from and to the runway. I can taxi. While there are no runway edge lights, or the runway edge lighting is it's missing in portions. Maybe the real life doesn't have it, but the center lights are there. So the runway and the taxiways are definitely usable even at night, even in the dead of winter. And then we get to the real problem with Microsoft Flight Simulator default airports, which is the apron area. It's always dark. Why they cannot put lights there beats me. I do not understand that. To me, it is simple to put some lights. If you can generate the buildings, you might as well just put some lights next to the buildings does not have to be accurate. The buildings aren't accurate, but at least it would be usable. But as it stands, the usability suffers at night, and therefore these airports typically get very poor ratings from me. What's that? A weird set of... Okay, that just looks weird because there's no runway around here, so I don't know why they have runway guard lights. But anyway, yeah, all said and done, this one's a poor one. I think again I am going to stick with a 1 rating for this airport. Now, as luck would have it, there is a freeware version of Rovaniemi on Flightsim.to. I will put the link in the box below. But that is not all. For that freeware version, there is also a GSX profile if you use GSX. So let's go take a look at that, and we'll be right back. And we're back, this time with the freeware Rovaniemi airport. Let's get this one loaded in. And while that's loading, this airport was originally built in the 1940s, and it served as an air base for the German Luftwaffe. Today it is, of course, a civilian airport, but also it is used by military jets, particularly from the Lapland Air Command of the Finland Air Force, the Finnish Air Force. It is quite an important airport. Lots and lots of airlines operate in here. Aer Lingus, Air France, Austrian, EasyJet, Eurowings, of course Finnair, but Finnair operates year-round. Most of the others are seasonal. Iberia, KLM, Lufthansa, Ryanair, Scandinavian, TUI, Vueling. So lots of airplanes. About 500,000 people in a year come here. So quite an important airport. It is Finland's second most important airport behind Helsinki, as I mentioned previously. So with that said, let's take a look. Oh, right off the bat, beautifully designed terminal with the gray jet bridges and all. That is actually how Rovaniemi looks in real life. I wonder if these jet bridges are functional. They do not appear to be. Let's see if GSX can... Oh, there are no jetways, unfortunately. Okay, so unfortunately these jetways are not functional. I wish they were, but the airport itself looks quite nice. The terminals look really nice. Of course, the interior of the terminal is not built, which is fine. That's okay. That's not that important. But the terminal itself has been built, cleaned up, built up nicely. So it is actually now looking very nice. All these buildings have been added. Looks like there's been some terraforming done. The tarmac's been cleaned up. The apron looks nice. It is starting to now look like a very nice and usable airport. It's quite nicely done. You can see all the parking stands, all the markings. I remember seeing videos on YouTube of this airport. I've never been there, unfortunately. Someday I would like to, but I remember seeing videos of this airport. So the terminal kinda looks like what I remember seeing on those videos. The only exception where I think points will be deducted is the fact that the jet bridge does not work. I wish the developers of this freeware had taken the default jet bridges and just reskinned them to be the same color. The default ones are gray, and this one is kind of a bluish, dark bluish gray. But enough said, the airport is definitely usable. Let's see what it looks like at night and how usable it is at night. Land of the midnight sun. There we go. Now it's land of perpetual darkness. Okay, runway looks good. Taxiways have edge lighting, which is good. very nice. It has edge lighting. They have removed the center lights, which is actually fairly consistent with the fact that this is an area of high snow, and therefore in those kinds of areas they typically do not have center lines lights, because they just get covered by snow and they get in the way of all the plows. Edge lighting definitely yes, but center lighting no. And then as you can see, the apron itself looks quite nice. I am not sure about these two signs being placed here. They kind of look like they're in the way. Neither am I sure about these little red lights. I have to go look at the airport itself, but as you can see, it is actually well lit, and very, very usable. So having said that, the signs have been created. The signs look nice. Everything actually is coming along well together, and it looks like very, very useful. I am debating what rating to give this. I think under normal circumstances I would have given this a 3.5 rating. Unfortunately though, because the jet bridges do not work, they will detract a lot from the simulation. So I think I am going to give this one a rating of 3. So I will deduct half a point for the fact that the jet bridges don't work, and end up with this freeware version of Rovaniemi getting a rating of 3.0. So very solid effort. It takes the default borderline usable airport and just ratchets it up to an airport that is significantly more usable, particularly if you happen to be on Flightsim, on one of their Lapland things, and you'd be able to really use this airport. So with that, we come to an end of this episode. Thank you for watching, and please like, share and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you.